Cigar smoking is a time-honored tradition, but there's a few things you need to know before you light that cigar for the first time. Stay tuned. Fellas, it's Robert, your everyday gentleman, and today we're talking about cigars. I've got a couple cigars in here. This is my little travel humidor. Now this is a pastime that's enjoyed by many people, both male and female, and can be a very relaxing thing to do. But at the same time, it can also be a little intimidating. There's so much when it comes to smoking, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But today we're going to go over the essential information that you need so you can really get the most out of smoking that cigar. The first step, cigar selection. When you first walk into a cigar shop or somewhere to purchase a cigar, you'll notice that there's a vast variety when it comes to what options you have. There's a number of different brands from different regions, each with their own flavors, strengths, and sizes. Now, if you're a beginner, you should definitely start with something that's mild in strength, maybe medium. Even though you don't inhale the smoke, the nicotine that goes into your mouth from the tobacco or from the smoke can sometimes cause nausea, which could ruin a good experience for you. The color of a cigar is usually a good indication as to the strength of a cigar. The darker, the stronger, but that's not always the case. A good cigar shop will have people there that will offer you assistance to make sure that you get the best cigar for you. Now, me personally, I've been smoking cigars for quite some time, but I still enjoy a mild to medium smoke. I'm not huge on a very strong cigar. Typically, this is my little travel humidor. I only brought out a couple cigars. I have a pretty nice humidor. Maybe I'll do a video on my setup in the future, but one that I really enjoy is this Rocky Patel Vintage 1999 Connecticut. This is one I recommend to beginners all the time whenever I introduce somebody to smoking, or if I offer somebody that has come over to visit a cigar. I usually have a number of these on hand because this is a good introduction to cigar smoking. It has a very, very good smell, has a very, very good flavor, and again, it's not a very strong cigar. So I'm going to be having one of these today. Now, the next thing to look at with a cigar is a cigar size. Now, this is typically known as a Robusto, mainly because of the diameter and the length. And those are the two dimensions that you look at when you're looking at the size of a cigar. The diameter, also known as the ring gauge, is basically the width of the cigar or the size of the ring of the cigar. There's really no correlation when it comes to the strength of a cigar to the diameter of a cigar or to the ring gauge of a cigar. But what it does do is change the way the cigar burns. A larger diameter cigar is going to burn cooler and slower, where a slimmer cigar is going to burn hotter and faster. Now, the length is just that, the length of a cigar. Cigars come in different lengths, some shorter than this. Churchills are a little bit longer. And just like diameter or ring gauge, length really just impacts how long you're going to be smoking that cigar, and also the draw. Now, the draw is the act of putting the cigar in your mouth and inhaling so that you can bring that smoke into your mouth, which you want to make sure it doesn't go into your lungs. To simplify, I would say go with something a little shorter at the very beginning, just so that you don't have a waste if you don't enjoy the experience, for example, or if you don't have a lot of time. Start with something a little bit smaller, and then as you enjoy or as you smoke more and get more experience, you'll come to realize really what you prefer. And that's really what it is. It's just, what do you prefer when it comes to sizes? Now, typically I'll have something like this. A cigar this size will typically last me about 30 to 45 minutes. That's a good amount of time to just sit back and enjoy and relax while I'm smoking the cigar. But if I'm on the golf course, for example, I'll typically take a couple Churchills, which are a little bit longer, something about 7 inches or so. And that will last me a good maybe 7, 8 holes. So it really depends on what's going on and what you're doing while you're enjoying the cigar. Now's where the fun really begins. Now it's time to cut this thing and light this thing up. There's a few different ways that you can cut a cigar. The 3 most common ways are a straight cut that's done with a guillotine, something like this. This is a little low budget guillotine, but these are pretty easy to find. It costs a couple bucks. If this is your method of choice, you can invest in, a much nicer cutter. Typically, I don't like a straight cut. What a straight cut does is, you can see there's 2 blades on this guillotine. And what you do is you insert the cigar into the opening and then you slice it open. You just want to take a bit off. It really just comes down to what you prefer. You just want to make sure you don't go too far beyond that cap that's going over the end of the cigar. Because if you do that, then the cigar will start breaking up and it's just gonna, again, mess up the experience. So really it's just cutting off a bit. Typically you just wanna go before, like maybe halfway through the curve of the round end, and then snip that off and then enjoy your cigar. The second way is what's known as a V-cut. It's kind of like a guillotine, but instead of having just a straight line, it'll cut a V into the edge of it. So it's almost cutting like a channel on the edge of it that then you can draw the smoke through. I've never tried a V-cut. Really what I prefer to do is what's known as a punch. My lighter here carries a punch on the inside. And really what a punch does is it just kind of like a hole puncher. It punches a hole into that cap end, which for me is perfect because it gives you just enough of an opening to get a good draw of the smoke into your mouth, but it also isn't so big that you can get some of that filler going into your mouth, which I don't really enjoy too much. So typically when I punch a cigar, I'll take the punch, put it up against the cap, and then slowly just turn it, letting the blade cut into the end. You want to make sure you don't force it in too strongly, because if you do, you could start breaking that wrapper, and then it's just going to mess up the cigar as you're smoking it. But you'll feel the punch start going in more. It's already almost to the end here, really, and then you just pull it out, and you see that the cigar has a nice little opening on the end now, and there's a bit that I took off. So again, this is what I prefer, and I like that my my lighter, excuse me, has the punch on the end. That way I can always have this with me wherever I go. But that creates the punch there, that's the opening, and now the cigar is ready to be lit. With lighting the cigar, there's a few different ways that you can do this and a few different tools that you can use, let's say. There's different flames that you can use to light the cigar. Typically what you want to use is what's known as a torch with a flame that kind of burns out like that. This is really good because the butane that's in here, one, doesn't mess up the flavor of the cigar, and two, if it's a really windy day, that strong torch kind of stays on a little bit more than your standard just loose flame. I have two here. This is my travel one. This is one that I carry with me pretty much anywhere I go. Not sure what the Vector is the brand. Yeah, it's like 30 bucks. It wasn't anything crazy expensive. And then I have this home torch that I use if I'm hanging out at the house or having a cigar in the backyard. Has 4 burners in it, same as that one, but it's a little bit of a bigger flame. You can kind of hear that there. It also locks open, but this is a torch. The other thing you can use is wood matches. Now, I wouldn't recommend a standard lighter or even regular matches, because typically what will happen is the fuel and the fumes that come out of those two from the burning will go into the cigar and kind of contaminate the flavor. So if that's your only option, a lot of cigars, if you're at a cigar shop, or even a lot of cigars themselves, will come with these little sheets or flakes or whatever of whatever they're called, shanks of cedar that you can basically light up. You put the fire to it, it lights up, and then you use this to light your cigar, and then you don't have to worry about the flavor contamination. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can light a cigar. One way is known as toasting. Toasting is really what I like to do. It's essentially where you take the flame and you're not gonna touch the actual cigar, you're just gonna put it up against the end that you're gonna light, and then you let the heat from the flame, get a little closer than that, but you let the heat from the flame just start warming up that end slowly, trying to build up the temperature. You'll start seeing it turn to red, the smoke will start coming out, and then you kind of do that until the whole end is red, and then after that you kind of finish with just putting the flame right on it. It'll be a very quick flame, and then you're ready to go. The other way you can do it is just to put it on your mouth and get ready to start drawing the smoke with the flame on it, which is a little bit faster. The main thing that you don't want to do, or the main thing that you want to avoid, is that you don't char it. You don't really like burn it, because same thing, it alters the flavor and it could really mess up a nice cigar. So let's start toasting this thing now. So again, what you want to do is I'll hold the cigar like this, and then I'll get the flame, and I'll just, since heat rises, you can see that I'm not very close to the cigar, but it's already starting to smoke. Part of that is just because this is a very hot flame. So, you want to kind of judge to see how that flame gets close to that cigar. And you can see it's really starting to light up. I'll also kind of blow on it a little bit. to see how much red there is. I want to get maybe not 100% of it red, but a good chunk of it to be red before I actually put it on my mouth and complete the lighting process. I might roll it a little bit, but typically I'll just rotate the flame to get the entire end of it. So you just want to light it up, and the majority of it is pretty red now. So you can see a good amount of smoke is coming off, and then I'll just finish it by putting it on my mouth and lighting it up. And that's pretty much it as far as lighting it. There's a lot of smoke in my face right now, but that's the beauty. This smoke, man, this cigar is so good. Just the aroma of it is beautiful. I love this thing. Now that the cigar is lit, now it's time to enjoy it. So basically what I'll do is take a draw, draw on it slowly, and then I'll typically release the smoke up. Sometimes a little faster, sometimes a little slower. It really depends. But then you just kind of get that feel, the flavor on your tongue, kind of get an understanding of what the cigar is like. Obviously, you can kind of pair this with a drink of your choice. But I enjoy coffee typically with a cigar. I think the flavors complement each other very, very well. But people will enjoy anything from beer to wine, whiskey. It really comes down to your preference. Something that I do also enjoy when I have a cigar, if I'm not having coffee and I don't want, an alcoholic spirit, I'll enjoy some mineral water. The bubbles in the mineral water combined with the flavor and the tingling sensation I get from the cigar is something I enjoy. So it's something that you can kind of check out and see if you enjoy it as well. Now, as you're smoking it, you'll see that the ash starts to build because the cigar obviously is burning. Now, you don't want that, you don't want to ash it, you don't want to tap it, you don't want to do too much to the cigar because that could break the wrapper and it could also, again, mess up the flavor. You just really want to let the cigar burn, let that ash stay there. Just kind of keep an eye on it. As you smoke and as you try different cigars, you get a feel for the quality of cigar. A good quality, a good well-made cigar will hold that ash for a good amount of time before it actually falls. But you just want to make sure you keep an eye on it so it doesn't fall on you, and obviously, if it falls on your clothes. Now, when you're done with the cigar, you don't really want to snuff it out. Snuffing it out just causes really a bad sense. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I know that when you snuff it, it smells a little funky. So really what you want to do is just kind of place the cigar down, and it'll go out on its own. And once it's out completely, if you're going to throw it away, you can toss it out. And if you are saving it for later, once it's completely out, depending on how much is on there, you can use the guillotine again to figure out. You want to cut a good maybe ½ inch to an inch off. You don't want to do too much because then you could take off a lot of smoke. But maybe about ½ an inch off. Cut that off completely. You're going to throw that part away and then save the rest for later. Cigar smoking is really a matter of preference when it comes to what you prefer as far as flavors, strengths, sizes, cutting, drink of choice. You're gonna find what suits you best and what you're most comfortable smoking and what you're most comfortable enjoying. But let me know in the comments if you're already a cigar smoker. Let me know what kind of cigars you enjoy. There's a number of different cigars that I've tried, but there's a number of the cigars that I haven't tried, so I'm always open to recommendations. Rocky Patels are some of my favorites. I like Olivas, I like Montecristos, but I'm open to suggestions and trying out different things that I may not have tried yet. So let me know what you think, let me know what you're interested in seeing, and I'll do my best to do some videos for those topics. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure you see all of the future videos from this channel. And remember, being a gentleman is an everyday thing. I gotta light this thing back up now. See you in the next video, guys. I'm almost done smoking this thing. There's a lot of smoke in here, but I almost forgot to tell you guys, quick pro tip, don't forget mints. Mints are very important. If you're gonna sit and talk to somebody after having a cigar, you don't want them to be offended by the potential foul scent that's coming out of your mouth. So make sure you got some mints on hand for after you're done with this thing. Till the next time, take care, fellas.